Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining myself. I'm Nick from Unix Gaming, COO of Unix Gaming, and I'm joined here with the co-founder of Syn City, Roy Liu. So, Roy, say hi to everyone.
Hey guys. Thanks for having me, Nick. I'm glad to meet all the Unix family members here.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that Roy's a part of a really big project that Unix Gaming is backing and getting behind. We're super excited about bringing the whole Unix La Familia into your game. But Roy, if you want to give yourself, I guess, a bit of an introduction and maybe tell everyone what a little bit more about the project.
Yeah, totally. Again, thanks for having me. It's a great to finally get a face to face with Unix family. I've been in the crypto space for a bit. For the last 4 years, I've been closely involved in a project for Tron. Was heading business and marketing for Tron. And But previous to that, in my previous life, I was an early member of the game company called PopCap since 2006. Now you can guess my age. I was working on the games like Plants vs Zombies and The Bejeweled, and sold to EA for $1.3 billion back in 2011. And I started my startup career working on some of the startups. One of the startups called Chart Boost, which is sold to Zynga for 250 mil at the beginning of 2021. So I dipped into crypto briefly in 2013, where I was introduced by a venture capitalist to help on due diligence for Coinbase Series A at the time. So I was like, all right. I said, okay. The investor was talking about they're doing some coin thing, Roy, a bunch of nerds. Now, I'm not sure these coins can work in the gaming. Let's go talk to Brian Armstrong. So that's how I met him. Met Brian. I said, dude, Bitcoin is too volatile and it's too slow as well, and it's too expensive. Like it's not gonna good for a game. There is the company in China. It's called Tencent. They have a QQ coin used by a billion people. Dude, you're way out of the league. And Brian laughed and asked me to download one of the mobile client for the Coinbase and send me my first Bitcoin. At the time, it's about $20. So got a few at the time, didn't care about it until 2017. The whole ICO craziness happening. I was serving some executive role at some public traded game companies, but it gets me super excited, and which is why I chose to join the project just to learn how everything runs. And I met Justin's son, working together a bunch of deals, and a lot of crazy story happened. There's Warren Buffett stuff, there's people stuff, there's Bezos stuff. I mean, we did it all. So happy to tell you more. But yeah, and then now it's coming to thanks to all the development of DeFi and DeFi and also NFT becoming mainstream. I think it's a good time, especially after my years with Tron, is really to really focus on the new vertical. And I really think metaverse is going to be a huge thing. Abstract level. We've been part of the reason why I joined Tron back in the day is because I think working with Tron can take the blockchain to the mass adoption. But now with metaverse is already, I think I can really build a project that take the blockchain adoption to the mass market, and especially talking to the investor perspective. Metaverse or crypto or GameFi is probably the perfect scenario for any investor to look into. Okay, they have actually a business model rather than just talking about has vision and development, because it's hard to build a financial model based on that. But in GameFi, you can actually see the revenue, so that's super exciting. And if you look into the top 100 market caps, there are only a handful of GameFi projects listed there, meaning the potential is huge, right? Because you can really utilize to build revenue stream, yet others may or may not be able to do so. So you can see a huge swift in 2022. If 2021 is the year where NFT gets to the mainstream attention, 22 will be the year where NFT get the utility, namely in the metaverse. So super excited about this. But yeah, and which is exactly the reason why given it's a very crowded market, a lot of people are doing GameFi projects. For me, before we dive into any game projects, being in the game space for over a decade, my thesis is like gaming is super risky. Don't do games as much as we can. So it's like seriously, because like games is like hit or miss. It's one of the most risky business ever. A lot of times, like people say, I'm doing the game, but look, you're issued a token for the game, but if the game does not have any traction anymore, what's the value proposition for a token, right? Like for example, we can look at everybody played Angry Bird, right? Everybody played Angry Bird. Do you play anymore? I guess no. Do you know what's the market cap for Rovio? Take a guess, Nick. Take a guess. What guess?
Let's go 300 mil.
A bit more than that, like 500 mil, right?
Yeah.
So think about that. Like as Rovio, which released a movie before, nobody cared about it. So what does that mean? It really means like making a game is super hard. I mean, Rovio is a successful example that they make a successful game and being an IP, but how do you prove your game can really make it an IP and get a consensus? Our token is built on consensus, without which nobody cared. And especially, a lot of people are building their games based off the Axie model, because Axie's model worked and made money and get a huge market cap, and congrats to them. But they didn't realize the fact is like their economy is a failure. It's not successful. If you want to copycat that, which you can, then you're just making quick bucks. I mean, it's basically the race. Like whoever goes to the whoever goes to zero. You can see a lot of the games that are doing that. People basically just grind, so-called earn, and then withdraw and dump. That's the model. And I don't think that's a death spiral. It's a suicidal. If you follow that model, it's just not healthy. You can make quick money, but what's the point to make that money? You might as well. Your opportunity cost is huge. It's way higher than that. So that's my perspective. And with that logic, I look into what do we want to do. Instead of doing a game, we're doing a metaverse. And a key foundation layer of the metaverse is about consensus. With the consensus, strong consensus, you can build a scalable platform rather than just a short-lived mechanics, right? Because mechanics is copyable. Consensus, once it's formed, it's not so easy to be copyable. People can fork ETH, but the consensus is still there. That's the key reason. So, and then being in the game space for a while, I realized several verticals is super evergreen. One of that is Mafia or Underground Syndicate. That's being evergreen and being through the web games, PC games, console games, mobile games. It's always been the most sticky user base, but also most lucrative in terms of average revenue per user generates. So that's why we chose to get into that. So what do we do here? It's a Mafia Metaverse where people can come in, raid for loot, and build your own business, your Mafia business. And also you can run your own Mafia and collect all the taxation between your underlying people in syndicates. So that's what we're building. And in a nutshell, we are the infra provider for this Mafia Metaverse. That's what we do. We're layer 3 in a sense, providing the infra supporting that.
No, that's super interesting, and thank you so much for the insights. I think that our viewers and our community really have a similar mindset, right? Because as gamers, and I'm a gamer myself, going back 10, 20 years, esports was just a LAN party between a few guys and maybe one person commentating.
Yeah, esports is a super tricky business. Be very careful on that. I can set a note on that. Esports is super tricky. Don't get blown away by the fancy stages, cameras. Esports business is not very lucrative business. Market size is small. Secondly, to build a very lucrative esport game, that requires a big successful title. You got to be a successful game, which is super hard. And thirdly, after super fun to watch. If it's not fun to watch, it's not gonna scale.
Mm. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that's, I guess, some of the possible pitfalls that a lot of games that are coming out may have identified, right? Because there's really only a few types of. It's lagging a bit. No, that's all good. There's only a few types of games that can really dominate one space. For example, if you took an MMO, or let's take a MOBA, right? There's really only League of Legends or Dota that's really dominated the top, and you want most of the community on that. So when it comes down to it, and thank you for going for saying a little bit about how your project started, but really with the inspiration behind Sin City and this Mafia thing, was it did you take any inspiration from it anywhere else, or was it just the fact that it was an evergreen thing?
It's ever a great thing.
Yeah.
Because now GameFi is too early. So instead of focus on, like, I'm doing cluster client alike, I'm doing Angry Bird alike, you better
Yeah.
focus on what's the racetrack you're going to pick and let's sustain there first. That's the key thing, rather than
Yeah.
say we have to do a mechanics, because once you make a mechanics, people may like it, people may not like it, right?
Yeah.
But once you have consensus, it's a very different play. It's a different, like, a dimension play. That's where we see that. But of course, I'm not saying we wouldn't do a good game. If I may share my screen to give you a more visual understanding.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure. So let me see. Can you see my screen now?
I think it's coming up.
Does it work?
Yeah, I can see your screen, and I think let's see if it works on the streaming thing. Hopefully, it's all good. But yeah, and was this kind of a general consensus with your team as well? Like the whole team, I know there's about 8 of you. Was everyone just like, let's do a Mafia game, let's do a syndicate game, just along those lines?
Of course. That's why we make a team. If they don't believe in that, that's a different team.
No, of course. So who's the rest of the team? Are they mostly devs? Are they all gamers? Hopefully they're all gamers. I assume they're all gamers.
This is a very different chemistry, where the game developer versus the cryptographer and blockchain. So I assume that the game is on the screen right now. You can see we have a lot of characters. Of course, every character is an FT, but the key thing is, like, you can just upgrade your character for different ability. But the game, let me skip through whatever. So for the game, basically you pick your squad, a team of 4, to get it started again. So with that, you can choose people with different buff and debuff between each other, like in the rock paper scissors style, and take it to a battle. The battle essentially is a real-time car battler. So instead of like Axie, you jump forward and back, wait for a turn. You can make these things. You can make decisions real time. Yeah, the way it works is that once you see the countdown goes to 0, you can then drag and drop these features onto the people on the target, so that triggers special ability. So it gets you the GTA kind of intensity, but without having you to use the Call of Duty kind of muscle to survive. It's more strategic planning and a combo. That's why it's a card game. Card game is really good in terms of growth for the character, for the future asset appreciation, so to speak. And as you know, graphic is awesome. We like it. There's a Guy Ritchie style intro for the characters coming in, so that you can basically plan your battles. There's PvE, there's PvP. PvP essentially works like a collaborative plan, where you can async plan your defending AIs, defend your turf, so on and so forth. So this is a game, but this is just one of the games. This is one of the games that we would support. Fundamentally, it's the asset. With these assets, as you can see from these characters, that we can build. Early on, it's the car battler, but down the road, it could be a PUBG, could be a GTA, everything. The real thing is how do you get all these everybody's consensus together. I think that is the key. And also, it's worth noting to people to understand is the game is free to play. So people talk about play to earn, but also it's important to understand it does not make sense for people to have to pay $1,000 upfront to so as to play. It's like, you know, I'm earning $20 an hour. Why do I pay $1,000 upfront? It doesn't make any sense. Rather, we should, as a blockchain in a decentralized society, we should give earning opportunity equal to everyone. Everyone should enter. Like if Call of Duty is free to play, why crypto games it has a paid game? It does not make any sense. But also, it's like we've been through in the short-lived blockchain like history. You can see the paid to enter projects never have a good ending. From early days Steemit, because you have to pay to create account, to later EOS, you have to pay to create account. I mean, of course, they start from the same founder, but arguably, you can see actually started at the same time as well. This is the last generation. The current generation, especially in the more mass adoption and the consumer internet, you need to understand this is always free. So we offer free doesn't mean like you give no charge. It also means quality for people to enter. You're not banned by people, hey, I'm a whale, so I can play. I'm a minnow, I cannot play. And to build that, we offered a wardrobe engine, which allows you to mix and match all the characters, so you can create all your characters for free, and then get it started. Of course, the characters created for free are mediocre in terms of stats that look and feel in a more uniform look, but in the more advanced characters, through the gacha and the purchase of on the marketplace. Yeah. When talking about play to earn, it's also very important to address the revenue stream as well. Of course, people oftentimes emphasize on the grinder. You just to fulfill the task, withdraw, and dump, which is that spiral as we mentioned. But most importantly, how do you reuse your asset from the grinding to reuse again through the ecosystem? So that's the way we introduced the model called the capitalist. You can play reinvestment of the asset, get you more yield and reward out of it. And also you can play as a hodler, which is very interesting, and particularly to the governance side of it. Our governance system is called a Mafia as a DAO. As you know, DAO, just out there, but as a DAO. But there's a yeah or nay aspect of it. But what do we do is fairly interesting. So we let people to participate DAO to split the earnings. How it works? So we have Syn, and we use Syn to stake. Syn is our governance token. So we use Syn and stake Syn to generate Syn power, and you can use that to dedicate to various leaders. Now, there are a lot of leaders in the space, but only top 7 leaders with most power can join the high table, where they'll be deciding how to split the earning pool. And there are other pools that can go to us, and people can come to Nick's strip club to pay Nick a fee to get the full health, right? And the Nick pays to the syndicate leaders and so on and so forth. So that's what we do. And there's mercenaries, which is like we work with the Unix, we work with the YGG, Mirror Circle, GuildFi on the mercenary bar lending perspective. There are casino services, there are DeFi banking services, and also church, which is very cool. Essentially, when your people are dead, like the dead in stats, the power when the people are dead, and then instead of you can just bring the dead NFTs to a church and spend a bunch of things to revive them, to bring them back to life again. However, if you do not do that, then the NFT will be burned. It'll be burned. So it's dead for real. Right. So that's the beauty of that. I think last but not least, I think it's very interesting to mention the game is cross-chain, meaning the central asset lives on ERC, but you can use other chains as a side chain, like learning perspective, and you can bridge the ERC asset to the other chain. So you can be a local boss on the BSC, you can be a local boss on the Solana, and you get rated by. You can be rated by BSC families over to you, and vice versa. But all the asset lives on ERC, right? That's the cool part of it. So the central asset is scarce. It's basically all ERCs, and so that's the game.
Hey, that was an amazing introduction. Thank you so much, and I love how you've got this PowerPoint ready to go. That helps a lot. We covered a lot of things that I know some of our community were keen to hear about, like under what chains, but you've covered that That's I would say that when it comes to the game, right? And I've got a question here for someone. I'll just slip it in there. Now, you said we need NFTs, characters, and there's about 4 on a team. Does that mean you need 4 characters to play?
Basically, you can get 4 AI, right? The 4 characters that have different stats they can play. You're as a player, you manage a 4 people squad, but they're all your assets basically. This
Yeah.
game,
Okay.
this metaverse, start with that mechanics for starter, but down the road, these are all assets which you can evolve to play other game mechanics that we introduce into the metaverse.
Right. Okay. No, that's really interesting there. And I want to go into, I guess, quickly, I guess the tokenomics behind the project. Like, how does it all work? The token utilities, or is there burning mechanisms for that?
We don't introduce burning from the get-go.
Yeah.
The key thing is we believe that the token is utilized more for governance. So it's the governance aspect of it, so we can stake it mostly for the Mafia as a DAO perspective, right?
Mhm.
But also it can utilize to pay for NFTs in the space that we introduced a lot of great NFTs. We recently, and also we have a lot of good backers, so that's give us a lot of connectivity, a
Mhm.
connection and network to a lot of talents like Sway Lee. So again, one of the famous rappers in the US. So he
Yeah.
joined as a, CEO, Chief Entertainment Officer, so that yeah, we can use the same token to purchase NFTs from this or that. There are more talents to be announced very quickly, but also like you can stake it to earn get the yield and earnings and so forth.
Hmm.
When we launch, our staking is ready. When we
Yeah,
launch,
for
we
sure.
will yeah we'll kick off our staking as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, no, that was going to be my next question for everyone. Is there staking, and is there some, like an APY that you guys
Yeah,
have?
there's staking, and what's interesting. So based on the AUM you staked, you're getting relevant discount on our marketplace for the NFTs. So the more you stake, the more discounts.
Yeah. Okay. So look, this whole project seems super interesting in terms of like the economy that you build into it, and you mentioned like the economy of Axie and how that's going. So, in what way does this, or with the Syn City, do you have any plans for sustainability for the long term? Like, what are you guys planning around that? How can you essentially navigate this whole brand new space and make sure that you guys are here for the long term?
Yeah, sure. That's where we started. We started as the
Yeah.
planning, not in the old school terms, we don't call it the metaverse. In the old school terms, we call it a meta game. What's a meta game? So that's how we see that. Number one, you have to make sure the content is sustainable. Like I was involved in the investor of several like play to earn projects. So one of the biggest hustle, I'm running out of content because people grinding. I had to make sure you can play this game, and 3 days later you can get your principal back, and the rest of the earnings are kind of a
Yeah.
the kind of a
The
selling
selling
point.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, but you see, that's basically you asking people to consume your coin, consume your content, and very quickly people are bored because people are here to earn. Let's face it. For current generation of play to
Yeah.
earn or demographic, they're here to earn. The difference is that whoever they're earning longer, right? And whoever has the better lucrative earnings, they would go for it, and that's the nature of it. But also, there's another group of people they believe in the project with more like native crypto native who started with ETH and Bitcoin. They have a believer, they have an ideology. So this is why we start from that perspective. We believing crypto and blockchain projects. Everything is based on the belief, based on the consensus. And once you grab the consensus and being the first mover there, that's the way. And I personally, I by learning from Axie, and again, they did a great job. By all means, the Sandbox they did a great job. I think they really kick it off, given the being an OG in the space, kick it off to get people to really build a scalable platform and mechanics, whether you can do a shooting, racing, soccer, whatnot. These are just mechanics. This is really about what people are believing in, and a group of people come together to engage with each other. That's the key. So that's why we make sure our scalability, and then economy becomes to really in terms of how you build these assets around the people, and make it useful. That's really about it. And the community will tell you how to really utilize that. And we're just a servant for the community. Right now, our community has over like 180,000 people, and our verified user in our Discord, 188,000 actually. Not a bad number. And we have,
it's good.
and we have, yeah, yeah. So that's we have actually funny. We have over when we kicked off this certain point, we have over 130 different sub DAOs in our Discord, which is crazy. And people are just forming their own mafias together.
Yeah.
And then because they're so saturated, on these DAOs or sub DAOs and mafias, they start to emerge. They have M&A deals coming between each other. This is amazing.
Really?
Like, yeah, they just merged. DAOs merge, becoming bigger DAO. So it's like it's amazing to see. There's a professional DAO or guild like Unix, like NC, GuildFi, and the folks coming in. But also there's like a grassroots DAOs forming. There's like, okay, let's get together. We got to form our DAO. We got to be stronger. Now the pros are coming in. We need to be stronger. So it's amazing to see how the dynamic it goes, and we're happy to be there to support.
Yeah, that's really good. And by the way, guys, even though Unix is coming in with our own DAO and our own syndicate, we're open house. We're happy for us to join forces. We'll look after you. We'll look after you.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, it's a beautiful mafia, right? To get people to join. As a mafia leader, you need to give a lot of goodies for people getting incentivized to join. So I think that's the nature of it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, no, that's pretty cool. And I wanted to touch base quickly because one of the really important things that I saw was around how the buildings and all that land gameplay works. So
yeah,
going back to that, when you said you have a bank, are you guys? Is it something like a bank, for example? Could Unix establish a bank, or are you guys partnering with like a DeFi protocol that's a bank for that very purpose?
So we were partnering with third party, but also we're building our in-house as well. So that I mean, like the way we see that is, I mean, we've been in the crypto space for a while, and there's several key things that matters, and the mechanics is easy because there's a lot of mechanics out there available. But the real thing is how to adapt the mechanics to your demographic, to your community. There's Aave out there for borrow lending. There's Compound for the other aspect of it. There is UMA. There's also, whatever. So there's a different aspect of a DeFi, and also we call that black market, can be built across. And we're all bad guys here in Mafia. No, just joking. Mafia is actually a good word nowadays. It's a compliment. Think about that. If you did something very successful, you say, "Hey, Nick, are you coming from like LinkedIn Mob? I'm part of the like a Tesla Mafia. I come from a PayPal Mafia." It's a compliment. So I think Mafia Metaverse is really for a group of people who have a huge dedication and have a very successful achievement in a small group of people, your buddies or sisters to this. And I think it's a super cool dynamic. I think that's the consensus we're building here.
Yeah, no, that's I like that. It really is opening it up for a lot more options and that are readily available with other games. So I guess on that note, like any upcoming features that you guys have planned for the rollout. I know that you're planning to launch soon. So I don't know if you want to share a little bit about that and maybe other features that are coming out post-launch.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're already lining up the NFT marketplace. We're lining up the staking. They're all ready to go. It's just that we want to be a more responsible project. We don't want to launch it during the uncertainty of the market, right?
Yeah.
There's no way for us to predict with a bull or bear, but at least we need to be responsible for our investors, for later investors as well, to launch in a consolidate during this consolidation period, rather than doing a lot of uncertainty. Overall, we're super bullish, but it is crypto, it's volatile. Daily 200% is the new norm in a way. We understand that. We just want to pick a proper time to launch. That's all about it. We're supposed to be ready to launch like on 7th on the ideal and the 8, 9, 10 for the copper launch. But given the current stats, we're gonna postpone that.
Yeah, no, and I think that at the end of the day, if we know anything about games that are shown at one of those big events, right? It's a great video to show the graphics of the game and the in-game and the gameplay. But then when it comes to market, it's subpar. So as a gamer, I respect that you guys are taking out the time for the community to really get this right. So when it comes out,
Yeah,
it's a huge success.
yeah.
And I guess that like short-term, long-term goals for Sin City. Like, what do you guys have planned for
Well,
everyone?
yeah, short-term goal is you want to be the flagship for Mafia Metaverse. That's all about it. I don't want to be a sci-fi metaverse. I don't
Mm.
want to be the leaders of, I don't be the leaders of a fantasy metaverse. We can be friends with them because we're bad guys. Anybody can live in. Like I was,
Yeah.
well, one of our early investors, Louis and Kieran, and we talked about, hey, all your monsters or aliens living in that world can come into Syn City. He said, yeah, why not? I mean, like, aliens, the monster can have mafia. Of course, who said no?
Yeah.
So we can always do that. So we'll be the bad guys. Wherever all the bad guys can come to us, we'll welcome all the bad guys, all the DJs. Not that you have the bad guys. You gotta be successful
Yeah.
to come in.
Yeah.
And two, I mean, long-term goal. I mean, given we believe like this play to earn can change the human life. You don't have to stand out the corner of the street and risk your life for a lot of things. Rather, you can do this, doing the members, do good things digitally, earn a digital asset that change people's lives.
Mm.
So I think this is something we really affect on the community.
Yeah. I think that's a really good kind of goal and vision to have as well. I mean, at Unix, we're very much the same, right? We're all very community driven, very community focused, and it's kind of a one-time opportunity, once in a lifetime opportunity that we get to follow our passions in gaming and then impact and create real social impact for so many lives. So
Yeah,
I think that's a really good space to be in.
yeah,
Well, at least for us anyway. And even though we're doing a mafia game, I think everyone inside, deep down, likes to be a little bit bad. I mean, I've always been like a dark side guy in the Star Wars series, right? um, uh, I guess we'll go quickly to some. I see that there's a lot of questions from the audience, and thank you
sure.
guys for staying to where it is now. I hope you got a lot of value from Roy, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions that you want to ask. So if you have any questions, please send it in through now, and I'll go through them one by one. I know I've addressed some of these before, so I'll go through the ones that we haven't spoken about. So I've got here one from Prodigy. Actually, Prodigy had two questions. The first one was on the 4 NFT characters in order for you to start playing, which we answered. That's all good. The second is you said GTA and PUBG kind of element in the future. It's
Mhm.
nice to know that the team looks further into something like this, where we expect Sin City to have similar game like Empire of Sin from Paradox Interactive.
Yeah, I mean, this is all possible. Like the beauty for the metaverse, like I said, metaverse is built around like the people confuse metaverse as being every metaverse needs to be sandbox or voca or voxel. No, it doesn't have to be that. And also every metaverse needs to be everything. Like Decentraland, got to be everything. No, no successful startups started with everything. You started from vertical something. You only do one thing good at a time, and then you move on to something else. So we focus only on Mafia, and there's so many different mechanics from Mafia or syndicate games. It's really about focusing on one genre to start, and then with these assets, which is the key. You play PUBG. What do you want? You were the characters, right? When you play GTA, what do? You use characters, right? You have
Mm.
weapons, you have clothing, you have all these equipments and accessories. That's the fundamental. It's your asset. Buy only your asset through the existing game mechanics, and then we can build down the road with the GTA mechanics, PUBG mechanics. They're just mechanics, and there are a lot of working mechanics in the world. So I know the team is super qualified based on the current track record to build the active mechanics, but we need you to be part of our community to help us to build Mafia together. Now down the road, we show the badge to everyone. Hey, I'm the Mafia. Hey, I'm the part of a gang.
Mm.
Hey, I'm part of the whatever syndicate. That's your trophy. That's your tattoo. That's your motto. And with that, you have your asset. We again, we're info provider. We are not interested in building games. And the games is just one of the feature will provide you of your community member.
Yeah, great. I think that everyone here wants to be a part of something like this. We've been waiting at least something similar to come out, and it's good that you have a lot of things in your roadmap that addresses a lot of what gamers really want, right? Just looking at the most successful games, it's good to see that you're giving us the power to create it how we want to create it.
Exactly. We're just like labor. We're just labor for the community.
Labor. It's the same, huh? And I get that. We're in the same spot. I got another one here from Kent Dave. So, is there a scholarship model in place?
So we
Is there
were
a scholarship model in place already, so I can be assured that my NFTs are not going to be touched if, let's say, I invest for 10 scholars? Very specific, but I like it.
Yeah, I like that as well. I mean, we talked to Unix, we talked to like Mirror Circle, we talked to YGG. It's very interesting to learn from everybody, different guild projects, different models, and also understand a lot of pinpoints of the market. Like some of them, like having a good way to manage your assets, some may not have that. So we are building from scratch to support all that, and to flexibly make sure these things are ready. And also work closely with different guild partners. I think that's super important because they're professionals and their dedication is doing what they do. Work with their guilds and the scholars to do this or that, and we support that. We don't intend to run our like a guild management perspective. We just build infra, and we welcome everyone. Today it can be YGG, tomorrow it can be a new YGG to come in because you have your own scholar system set up. And we just provide infra. We provide a skeleton for these structures for people to utilize.
Yeah, nice. I mean, yeah, with a lot of guilds like ourselves, we're always looking for, I guess, the next opportunity for our community of scholars to make a living from. I mean,
Yeah.
they've dedicated so much time and some of these games. Like sometimes you don't sleep, but they're doing
Yeah.
it. They need a way to feed their families. They need to make a living somehow. And going back on what you said previously, play to earn is really the next evolution for gaming. And I'm really glad that you guys are a part of this to make that happen. So another question here from Alaya Mary Rice. She's asked, so what is your long-term plan for the game and for the people who will invest into it? So I know we answered this before. Maybe it's got to do with, I guess, like the real long-term. Is it benefits for early players, early gamers, updates, things
So
like that, maybe?
yeah, for sure, for sure. So the community kicked off around some ARG. So ARG is alternative reality game. That's basically some riddle solving in our community, and we solve the riddles on our website and community, and people find some clues, and they did their sweat equity, and the winners of these games, they earn the Sing Pass. Sing Pass is now on OpenSea. The floor is about 6 to 7 ETH right now. We're a total of 800. They're now only released 400 right now. It's a fair mint, so that whoever earns it gets that, and then we don't set a price. This is a really like a market price. Point to that, we reward our investor, we reward our early participants, community members, but all these kind of gifts and goodies, because like for example, SIMPAS, and like I personally bought a few as well because I think it's super powerful and super useful down the road. Consider like the pass gives you uh, the Sing Pass gives you accessibility to all the goodies, like the alpha of what's coming, the test playable versions, and also like this is our line of investors, and we can get them like a small group of AMAs together, talking about industry, talking about GameFi, talking about the future plans. Consider we use Sing Pass, we can access our own version of OnlyFans. Maybe when you open a strip, maybe you only as an owner of a strip club with a Sing Pass, and you can go to a VIP room. I'm just making it up, but it's totally it's totally doable. We just open a camera, right?
Yeah, no, that's so yeah. I hope that's we still have a few more. Let's see, Brianna Garcia. How much does an average Joe need in order to start playing this game? Okay, so yeah. No.
Sorry, what's the question?
How much does an average Joe need in order to start playing this game?
Zero. Just you don't need anything. You just it's a free to play. I mean, you may still need to get ready for a gas fee, so to speak, but that's minimal. Like gas fee is just we don't charge anything. The platform we don't charge anything for it to get started to play, because we believe in people. There's different roles you can come in. We're not whale friendly. We're not minnow friendly. We just do nothing. Everybody should be treated equal. Of course, if you have capital, you can choose a capital way of playing. If you have time, you can use a time-consuming way of play. It's really we try to fit for everyone, and it's a common thing in traditional gaming as well. People convert time for the progress. Some whales they don't want to spend time to convert their capital for progress and achievements. It's very common. So we have different matchup system for different cohort of users. That's how it goes. But to answer your question, no, you don't need anything. You don't need $1,000. That's ridiculous. Whoever asks you that to play, don't play, because you're that's ridiculous. It's anti-human. You know that, because if you don't believe in that, why do you even do this?
Yeah. No, I completely agree, and I wish you had told me this maybe 6 months ago before game started. But it is what it is.
6 months ago, you made a lot of money, so it's worth it.
All right, so we've got so from Jeffrey Lanes, this game can we play on mobile or on PC and laptop?
Yeah, totally. So now it supports PC, Mac, Android, and iOS. iOS is definitely going to be certified, but also we're working closely with the Apple team, because we came from the Apple world, and working with the approval team to get it. They love once they see the graphics of the game. They love it, and especially as a Mafia Metaverse, they love the concept of that. So we're going through the process. So to answer the question, PC, Mac, iOS, and Android. And we also work on a WebGL version, so make it easiest accessible. But given the fidelity of the graphic, it's challenging to deal with the loading and given different memories you have on the machine. So the team is looking into that.
Nice, yeah, cool. And then okay, this question here. I'll see if I can say a lot of this stuff without having our stream banned for any reason. But I've got a question from Prodigy. A Mafia game is not complete without gigs. Businesses such as liquor, the D word distribution, the P word, gun dealing, loan sharks, gambling, and many more that mobs and mafia do back in the early 19th century. Is this something we can expect in the game? If yes, how can this be integrated as NFTs or in the play-to-earn model? I actually like this question. I'm sorry I couldn't say the whole thing. I'm sure that everyone can understand.
Of course, there may be D. Of course, there may be C. Of course, there may be P. Depends on whatever C there. Maybe we're not talking about the same thing, or maybe we are. I don't know. But the key thing is, this is a fantasy, and this is the metaverse we all want to do. It may not be using exact name for regulation purposes, and also we don't want to be put into something that really damaging to the people you don't want to be damaged. Like for our kids, if they say, "Hey, can I come to play this game?" Maybe you will say yes, or maybe you say no. It depends on how you want to go, right? Maybe we don't necessarily go too far, but certain features may be accessible. That's the first thing first. And if it's not exactly named this exact name, it will have similar functionality of that, so that narratively, people will get it what it is, right? And there's asset trading, as you can see. There's a world map, there's turfs for it to grab. You can trade assets from one territory to the other. Mafia is a global thing. There's a Korean mafia, there's Japanese mafia, there's Russian mafia, there's like UK mafia, like Mexican mafias. And so there you can see a lot of people starting choosing their own turf, their own areas, and earn based on their factories and whatever they built out there, and they can trade with others. So that's why the DeFi element is going to go crazy, because that's the black market. So you can just stake and generate a lot of asset called a D. So you can use D to trade the different Ds, but assuming the Ds kind of yield on South Africa turning out to be better than the D yield on the Russia, given the climate or whatever reason. There's the economy to be built.
Yeah, that's that's actually really interesting. Is it bad to say that I'm more excited to play now, knowing that there's this like extended economy that gets to be implemented here? Yeah.
Yeah.
So great question from Praji. Thank you for that. I think we've got a couple more here, if that's all right. So
Yeah, sure.
Elijah Wells, will there be a difference in terms of stats when it comes to character NFTs? Specifically, what type of NFTs will have advantage in terms of stats?
Yeah, like for free generated characters, as you can understand, to be fair, gonna be mediocre. There'd be a 1 out of 10,000 kind of a odds to make a relatively more advanced or more edgy character. But of course, you can always purchase to accelerate your process to get a character from an NFT store, or you can equip your asset or your talents. Sorry, equip your character with more. There's different stats, but we have a system called a stake to buff. So you stake your asset to the character. Basically, that's your asset, right? You stake your same token to your asset, your character. It's just like you're putting some annual checkups for a car. So yeah, they've got the same stats of the car. But if you pay more attention, get more protection, it lasts longer, upgrades faster, recovers faster. Also adds to the secondary market value. This is like, hey, I sell my car. If it's maintained well, so it's as fresh as new, so I can just purchase happily. It has a higher secondary market value versus, I didn't care about my car and you know what, it's rusty, so on and so forth.
Yeah. Okay. That's I like that. So there's really stats across the board for all NFTs, whether it's from guns to vehicles to even buildings. I assume there's different stats that will come into play with the buildings.
Yeah, of course, the different levels of the building, and there's all scarcity relevant as well. So if it could run out, right? You have to, because like the way I see that is Gen 1 NFT. People are talking about the asset related to the characters and the equipment. The Gen 2 people are talking about real estate, so on and so forth. But it's all speculation, as in what's the utility. So we put some meaning for that. So you use the utility for the characters because you can loot and win stuff, you can earn stuff. The utility for the real estate because you can build investments on top of the real estate, your land, to build a business and collect tax of it. That's what the real estate's for, right? And then what's the business? The business collects the cash flow for people to provide certain services. So these are really tag into the real life and these utility elements of it. Like I said earlier, 2022 is a big year for utility. PFP is awesome, but I see PFP is coming towards the level like, oh, can I turn the 2D illustration to 3D? Oh, can I add it to something? Look, we can always do PFP based on the characters, right? It's obvious. We're all 3D. I can do a lot of PFPs for the characters, but that's one factor of the utility, but also how do you utilize, given the PFPs and extend it further to the 3D animations. What can you do with that? So that's the key thing we're looking into.
Yeah, nice. I think that when it comes to the guilds, a lot of guilds are going to be starting to get as many things and put their foot in the ground. So all the smaller DAOs, it's okay. You can come join us, and then we'll have some good stats on all these things for you too. So I have another question from Vin Aspirus. A permadeath feature of an NPC sounds nice. Any thoughts on this?
Sorry, can you repeat?
A permadeath feature of an NPC sounds nice.
Yeah.
So any thoughts on this?
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Like I mentioned, the permadeath. It's that's what we'll be planning for the NFTs, for the characters, but for the NPC, NPC is NPC is NPC, but we may or may not have a certain NPC to do that because that matters to the perspective in terms of a balancing. But for PvP perspective, that's not NPC, as in that's the other asset, the counterparty's asset. But it's just controlled by AI, putting the defending your turret perspective. So if these assets, these NFTs are dead, and provided that their owner do not revive them from church, then they're dead for good. So there's a syncing mechanics for all that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, just with some of the other games and the one that you mentioned before, huge saturation in the market, right? And they're still waiting on a way to balance that out. Having too many NFTs on the market that are not being used.
Yeah, you cannot just say the asset cannot breed anymore and still leave it out there. Well, actually, it sounds ironic. If you cannot breed anymore, what's the point for you living in the world? That sounds pretty harsh.
All right, so I got another one from Prodigy. I'm foreseeing that this game has a lot of potential when it comes to a project being fully decentralized. Imagine whale holders building their own Mafia empire, and when the game integrates a bigger map or more lore, more stories, is there any other functionalities of the top 7 holders aside from deciding what pool distribution is? But it's a very nice project, by the way. I am loving it already. Nice, Prodigy.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, we're still exploring. Essentially, these guys control the money. They control the treasury of the so they have a lot of power. So and that's the first thing first. But I agree. The whole thing is very decentralized, as in like we work for the perspective to build infra, and we let the community to run their own narrative. And to be honest, the more controversial, more hassle happening in the community, the better, because that's the nature of the mafia. And we just provide all these possibilities for one mob to trigger the other, vice versa. So you can just capture one head and kill assassin one guy or this or that. All these features you can see easily from Game of War or other strategy games and other things. This is something we got to implement, and basically you can have a multiple way. Of course, you can work harmony with each other, but there'll be a lot of competition coming up. Like think of, for example, the high tables. Like why you're on the high table? Because people vote you in. But look, it's not easy. The more power you have, the more responsibility you have. Once you're holding the responsibility, you cannot make everybody happy, and the people can like throw you off the throne right easily. And how do you do that? So this is different. It's a very complicated play. So you need to manage your own guild and make sure people listens to you, but also make sure you work your ass off to make people happy so they can dedicate to you. Even though you are the whale, your whale, you can say, hey, okay, I'm early on, I can vote myself into the high table, I'm done. I can just click my yield. No, not true. The fact is that your power is just one aspect of it. For you to be on the high table, we have a reputation system. If you're out there and your reputation is not good, then you will be slowly lower your ranks on the ladder, and people one day will take over you. And the reputation works this: if you do not have a winning streak, if you do not win, if you keep on losing, then your reputation goes down. The reputation system, all that. So that even you are staked, you're a whale, doesn't necessarily guarantee you have a position in there. Just bear in mind in that, because everybody can vote you out. If I don't vote you by yourself win, I can just vote for a competitor and screw you out of the 7 seats. So there's always a big politics to play here.
And that's a really interesting system, and I love it how it can come from different angles, right? It's not just being the biggest person in the game. It's not just being the best player in the game. You need a mixture of both. And also when it comes down to just like any political run, you need to have the favor of the people. That's pretty cool. Yeah, well, that's all the questions that we have. I mean, there's a lot of questions, but I'm sure that Roy is happy to get on another AMA sometime in the future and answer more questions. Yeah, for sure.
And come to our Discord. Come to our Twitter. Feel free to ping us there. Twitter is Syn City HQ. Our Discord is Syn City. So feel free to join these. And there are a lot of spams out there. Make sure you always check out our official Twitter, Syn City HQ, for the right link. There's a lot of scams out there. Just be super careful. Never make a transaction until you see the official announcement.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And if everyone didn't get their handles quickly, you can find it on the Discord. There's only one big Syn City Discord. You'll see it. There's a bunch of syndicates there. We're there. And yeah, look, Roy, thank you so much for your time tonight. Oh, sorry, I'm in
Sure.
Sydney, Australia, so it's like tonight my time. But thank you for your time now. It was really insightful information. I think a lot of the community they're just primed and ready to go. So we from Unix Gaming, wish you a really successful launch that's coming up, and looking to support you guys in the Syn City Metaverse with our La Familia. So thanks everyone for joining in.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thanks for having me. Talk soon. Bye.